Hi guys, how are you doing today?
Hi.
Outstanding, yeah.
You're doing really well.
Excited
We've had a great day.
Yeah, it really has been.
Wonderful. Well, I'm a big fan of your work from other projects, and I was thinking as I started watching this, I was like, Ryan, I've seen you as a Southerner in True Blood, and Gayle, I've seen you as a very devoted, upset mother in Perry Mason, and obviously that's not like the same thing that we're looking at here, but what appealed to you, generally speaking, about these roles?
Go for it.
You know, I was so drawn in by the auspices of the creators, Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. I've been a huge fan, a devoted fan for so long in the theatre world, and I'm making this transition into film and television with this like beloved, iconic book was just, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I think for me it was just much the same, and standing behind something that was going to stand the test of time and had really profound social observations, and yeah, something that you could sort of put on your resume and know, damn, I'm proud of this. You know, this has the potential to make a difference.
Yeah.
I do think you're both very good in these roles, but I can't imagine it's appealing to be, thought of or cast in the parts of such despicable, people, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like someone has to do it, and I think in a way
That's a great question.
yeah, I would rather be engaging in the conversation that this book, I hope, elicits and this series elicits than not be, And if I can, show up for Brandon or Octavia, and their legacies, and I'm there for it. I'm ready to jump in and do that, even though it's uncomfortable, but the ways it's uncomfortable for me are minimal in regards to what other people are feeling. That's another thing too, where it's like, as uncomfortable as it is and horrible and despicable, I can't put myself in the position of people of color who have experienced what they experience in the show or watching the show, or yeah.
There's also interesting moments of lightheartedness and comedy, especially, when Thomas is getting to know his new house guest and sort of trying to understand exactly what happened, why he's, wearing the clothes he's wearing. What is it like to film those moments, and is the mood on set lighter like that most of the time?
Well, I wouldn't say most of the time, but yeah, in those sort of the observations from the present to the past, very much so. I think that's the genius again of Octavia's work, was bringing your modern day viewer into a world of, well, what would you do? How would you survive if you were thrown back into this early 1800s plantation life? Could you outwit Tom Whalen, Margaret Whalen? Could you kind of come back with the answers that were necessary to keep your lineage alive? I loved it. There was so much more to it than just the dialogue. There was always levels to be had and levels to be played with. And from an acting standpoint, that was just, it was pure fodder, Yeah, it was an endless array of choices.
Yeah.
And how aware were you of what was happening in the present? And was that something you tried to be focused on in terms of the script, or just to sort of put aside because, your roles are so much mainly in the past?
They speak to each other, I think, which is really important. And to kind of keep in mind what other actors are doing and be absorbed. I like to, invest in kind of the whole shebang, because it's part of a piece, but I also understand the focusing in on just one. But yeah.
I was just thinking too, it's sort of a coming of age story at the beginning too, with Dana in Los Angeles. As a viewer, you sort of, what is this world we're coming into? And same with her. It says she's like a sort of a seed that's about to grow, but when she gets thrown back in the past, it's like a flower that blooms in the darkest of places and then shines the brightest. You can't help but be kind of mystified by that. As Tom Whalen, he's very much sort of off-put by her, and enough to kind of stand back and not really react. First out of respect for Kevin, but then out of sheer mystery and fear out of what this woman is capable of.
Right.
And the fact that she's got some kind of control or ESP with his son.
Right, and there's also kind of like a fear of, there's so much fear and mystery surrounding Dana, and it's like a fear of the future. These people are afraid of the future. And I think that we rightly should all be, in some ways, afraid of what the future has, like what change has to happen. Do you know what I mean? And people are afraid of that. And I think that's really exposed in this series, which is really cool.
Yeah. What do you think will surprise viewers most about it?
I know it's something they haven't seen before. And I think you're going to be surprised by how unnerved, you know, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, stand on, there's something for everyone here, and I mean, in terms of a place to go to be affected by.
Yeah.
I certainly feel like I can speak for our cast and crew. We were electrified being on set. This was like such a pulsing, vibrant set that we felt like we really had something to kind of say here.
Right. And that this book was written 40 years ago, and that this book was written 40 years ago. You know, it's really, yeah.
Of course. And obviously neither of you are American by birth. Do you think there's anything distinctly American about this show, or is it much more universal?
I think that this story is clearly American, but the themes are very much universal. The themes of survival, of legacy, trauma, sexism, racism, social observations that Octavia kind of very profoundly put into her work.
Yeah.
We delve into a lot of the hot button issues and do it in a kind of artful way.
I would agree. Yeah.
And all 8 episodes will be available all at once. Would you recommend that people just rush through the whole thing, or better to spread it out?
I think that's a personal taste, mental health question. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just like pace it out, how you can pace it out. But yeah, lean in, you know?
Lean in, I love it.
Awesome. Well, all 8 episodes will be available on December 13th on FX on Hulu. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking some time today, and good luck in the future.
Thanks so much, Abe.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much.
it.
Yeah.